Global TV News Prime. Nigeria regains footing on global economic frontline through improved macroeconomic stability and reforms. In business, Central Bank of Nigeria says digital payment transactions surged by 276%. On the foreign scene, Sudan's Social Affairs Minister says women and girls are paying the heaviest price in Sudan's ongoing conflict. In sports, Senegal Prime Minister to visit Morocco after football unrest. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on StarTimes channel 276. And now, the news in details. Vice President Kashim Shettima has returned to Abuja after high-level economic engagement, declaring that Nigeria has regained its footing on the global economic frontline through improved macroeconomic stability and reforms. He said Nigeria's economy is stabilizing with projected GDP growth of 4.4% in 2026, inflation declining to 12.94%, and the country nearing a transition into a net exporter of refined petroleum products driven by the Dangote refinery. Shettima also joined former President Olusegun Obasanjo, former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, and Finance Minister Wale Edun to advance the Accra Reset Initiative, which promotes African industrialization powered by domestic capital and value chains rather than foreign aid. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to building an inclusive and future-ready education system as Nigeria marked the 2026 International Day of Education. In a statement by the Federal Ministry of Education, the government said it is shifting away from traditional top-down models to participatory learning systems that emphasize digital fluency, innovation, and entrepreneurship. The government added that with over half of Nigeria's population under 30, collective action is essential to ensure every learner gains the skills and mindset needed to drive national transformation. The Anambra State government has banned Monday school closures, ordering all education workers to resume immediately or risk losing 20% of their salaries. This is according to a circular by the Anambra State Universal Basic Education Board dated January 22, 2026, signed by the Board Secretary, Ngbamena Lovelina. The directive was issued following the State Executive Council retreat held on Tuesday, January 21, 2026, and presided over by Governor Chukwuma Charles Soludo. The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, has declared full support for the indefinite strike by workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, describing the action as necessary response to alleged violation of workers' rights. In a statement signed by the NLC President, Joe Ajaero, the union accused the FCTA of failing to remit pension contributions and National Housing Fund deductions since May 2025, calling it a deliberate assault on the working class. The NLC directed all affiliate unions in the FCT to join the strike and mobilize for a court hearing on January 26, warning that failure to resolve the dispute would lead to further escalation. The Nigerian army says sustained military pressure has forced bandits out of major communities in Benue State, restoring relative peace to areas once notorious for frequent killings. Commanding Officer, COS, Intervention Battalion XI, Lieutenant Colonel Donatus Otobo says the battalion has achieved about 80% security control across its areas of responsibility since deployment in July 2025. Kikelomo Okere has the details.
Speaking with defense correspondent on a media tour at the battalion's forward operating base in Tachu local government area of Benue State. Lieutenant Colonel Otobo disclosed that troops encounter over 10 bandit attacks on their first day entering the area, but aggressive patrols, day and night ambushes, and coordinated operation have since neutralized criminal presence in Guma and Yelwata communities. He says Yelwata, once a flashpoint, has remained inaccessible to bandits since troops established dominance, forcing criminal fleeing pressure from Nasarawa state border communities to retreat.
That we dominate this particular ground and the entire Guma local government area with aggressive patrols, with day and night ambushes that have deterred the bandits from coming close.
The commander added that close collaboration with sister units in Nasarawa, as well as strong intelligence sharing with local hunters, community leaders, and farmers, has led to the arrest, disrupted hit and run attacks, and improved early warning across difficult terrains. Lieutenant Colonel Otobo attributed the operational success to sustained logistical welfare and moral support from the Chief of the Army Staff, noting that civilian movement and farming activities have resumed along previously impassable routes.
These have come from these three local governments. So far, the information we get is that because of the Coas Intervention Battalion 11, they are scared of moving in. So what they do now is they send in maybe 2 or 3 bandits, hit the farmers, and then run back. And we are also coming up with plans to see that we lay ambushes along suspected routes where they come in.
The military high command assures residents that troops will sustain pressure until displaced community fully return, reaffirming the Army's commitment to the mandate of Operation Wild Stroke and lasting peace in Benue State. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
The Nigerian Army has denied allegations of a slow or inadequate response to the abduction of over 100 worshippers in Kurmin Wali community, Kaduna State. The military, in a statement by Major General Michael Onoja, Director of Media Operations, affirmed that efforts are ongoing to ensure the safe rescue of the victims. The military stated that they are working with other security agencies in intelligence-led operation. The statement acknowledged community members' frustration and explained operational restrictions as being strategic. The Kaduna State Police Command had initially denied the abduction, but later confirmed it. The Kebbi State Police Command has recorded a major breakthrough against kidnapping, arresting 3 suspected kidnappers and recovering firearms and dangerous weapons during an intelligence-led operation in the state. The suspects, Abubakar Muhammadu, Abdullahi Majo, and Ali Jemu, were arrested at the Bugudo market following actionable intelligence. A search conducted by operatives led to the recovery of 2 locally made firearms, 1 cartridge, and 3 machetes. Preliminary investigations linked the trio to a previous kidnapping incident in Bani Koso village, Shanga local government area, where a 55-year-old man was abducted from his home. The police described the arrest as a significant step in dismantling kidnapping networks operating in Kebbi State. The case has been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department in Birnin Kebbi for further investigation, after which the suspect would be charged to court. The New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP) has expressed profound disappointment over Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf's resignation, describing it as a betrayal of the people of Kano State and a setback to the Konkwasiya movement he once championed. In a statement by the NNPC National Publicity Secretary Oladipo Johnson, said the history proves those who sacrifice loyalty for convenience and integrity for deceit seldom escape the judgment of the people. Now, despite having the backing of former Kano State Governor and movement Kwankwasia movement leader Rabiu Kwankwaso Yusuf announced his resignation from the NNPP after weeks of speculation and political tension in the state. While he has not officially disclosed his next political move, recent meetings have led many to believe he is likely joining the All Progressive Congress. In the meantime, the African Democratic Congress ADC has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC to reschedule the forthcoming Federal Capital Territory elections, citing the need to respect the Ramadan fasting period observed by Muslim faithfuls across the world. ADC National Publicity Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi said in a statement that the party had formally conveyed its position to the electoral body in a letter dated January 22, noting that the ADC remains committed to supporting electoral arrangements that respect diversity. INEC has scheduled the Federal Capital Territory Area Council election for Saturday, February 21, 2026, which coincides with the Ramadan fasting period. Abdullahi explained that the letter also underscored the appeal was driven by the desire to safeguard inclusiveness in the electoral process. You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime. News Prime continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello, glad to have you with us on the weather forecast for Sunday. Residents of Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, Kano and Jigawa environs are expected to experience moderate dust haze. Visibility here is expected to be in the range of 2 to 5 kilometers. If you're in this region and you're sensitive to dust particles, we're advised to please take necessary precaution. To other parts of the north and north central, a sunny and hazy atmosphere is expected. While to the southern region of the country, sunny with few patches of clouds are expected, with possibilities of afternoon and evening thunderstorms in parts of Rivers and Bayelsa states. So if you stay in these areas, keep an umbrella handy. That's the forecast for Sunday. I am Theodora Itzum. Thank you for watching.
In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria says digital payment transactions have surged by 276% in volume and 581% in value over the past 5 years, reflecting rapid adoption of electronic payments channels. Speaking at the Committee on Bank Operations Annual Conference, CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso stressed the need for a balanced payment ecosystem where digital innovation and physical cash coexist. And despite the growth in digital transactions, the CBN noted that currency in circulation has continued to rise, reaching about 5.1 trillion naira as of December 2025. The Kano State Electricity Distribution Company has suspended the industrial action by its workers after reaching a negotiated agreement with labor unions following talks involving the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Bureau of Public Enterprises, Core Investors, Future Energies Africa, and the Kano State Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy. In a statement issued on January 23, 2026 and signed by the head of corporate communications, Sani Bala, KEDCO announced the immediate resumption of operations across Kano, Jigawa and Katsina states, citing progress in resolving inherited issues such as unpaid pensions, employee emolument and outstanding benefits. The agreement includes the immediate payment of 170 million naira in arrears, a commitment to clear additional salary obligations by February 2026, the establishment of an expanded dialogue framework, and assurances of no victimization as KEDCO pledged improved service delivery and stable labor relations going forward. Still talking business, the federal government says it is moving to end bush burning and promote climate-smart farming to improve soil health, raise crop yields, and cut emissions. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Marcus Ogumbiyi, said the move aligns with Nigeria's Climate Change Act and target to reduce methane and black carbon emission from farming. He urged stronger support from partners to scale up no-burn agriculture nationwide. On the foreign scene, the African Union has lifted sanctions on Guinea following what it described as the successful organization of the country's December 2025 presidential election, congratulating former junta leader Mamadi Doumbouya on his victory. Despite the AU's praise, the opposition candidate and civil society groups have denounced the poll as a charade, citing widespread irregularities, while Doumbouya has maintained a tight grip on power, restricting civil liberties and targeting political rivals. He was sworn in before tens of thousands of supporters 5 years after ousting Guinea's first freely elected president, Alpha Condé. In the meantime, Sudan's Social Affairs Minister Sulayma Ishaq Al-Khalifa says women and girls are paying the heaviest price in Sudan's ongoing conflict as sexual violence and other abuses continue with near total impunity. She also warned that the scale of violation against women is among the worst in the world, with armed groups accused of using sexual violence as a weapon of war. And now, the report. Sudan's war, now stretching into its third year, has triggered what rights groups describe as a devastating crisis for women and girls. The conflict between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) has killed tens of thousands, displaced millions, and been marked by widespread sexual violence. Speaking to AFP in Port Sudan, Social Affairs Minister Sulayma Ishaq Al-Khalifa said women are routinely targeted during attacks, looting and displacement, with survivors facing abuse across age groups and communities.
The next thing, which is more profound, is the sexual violence using as a weapon of war. It was systematic with the same scenario and different scenarios according to the places, like the same scenario in Jazeera and Khartoum, the same scenario in different scenario in Darfur and all Darfur. Because in Darfur, it's actually accompanying the ethnic cleansing.
The minister said her ministry has documented more than 1,800 cases of rape since the war began, though she warned that the true number is likely far higher due to stigma, fear, and the collapse of state institutions.
And in Khartoum, the girls have been accused of being liberal. Why you are fighting? The next thing, that you are the people who have been marginalizing us, you have taken our resources, and then they accuse them of saying that you are fulul. Fulul, that means the people affiliated to the previous regime.
Investigators say evidence points to coordinated campaign involving mass sexual violence carried out with a sense of total impunity. As fighting continues across Sudan, advocates warn that justice for survivors remain elusive, while the long-term trauma inflicted on women and girls threaten to deepen the country's humanitarian crisis for generations to come. Mukhtar Qasim, reporting for Global Television News. The Northern Atlantic Treaty Organization (NATO) says it is moving to boost its defenses along Europe borders with Russia by creating an AI-assisted automated zone not reliant on human ground forces. That zone would act as a defensive buffer before any enemy forces advances into a sort of hot zone where traditional combat could happen. NATO's Deputy Chief of Staff said the automated area would have sensors to detect enemy forces and activate defenses such as drones, semi-autonomous combat vehicles, land-based robots, as well as automatic air defense and anti-missile systems. United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer has condemned an insulting President Donald Trump's claim that the Northern Atlantic Treaty Organization (NATO) allies avoided the front lines during the Afghanistan war. Trump's comment, made during a Fox News interview, sparked outrage in Britain, where 457 soldiers died in the conflict following the 9/11 attack. Starmer said he would apologize if he misspoke in such a manner, while the White House defended Trump's remarks. In the meantime, United States President Donald Trump has warned Canada that if it concludes a trade deal with China, he will impose a 100% tariff on all goods coming from over the border. Relations between the United States and its northern neighbors have been rocky since Trump returned to White House a year ago, with spat over trade and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney decrying a rupture in the U.S.-led global order. During a visit to Beijing last week, Carney hailed a new strategic partnership with China that resulted in a primarily but landmark trade agreement to reduce tariffs. But Trump warned consequences should that deal be finalized. And now talking sport, we'll begin after fans from an incident there at the African Cup of Nations final. 18 Senegalese supporters remain in pre-detention in Morocco, where they face charges of hooliganism at the match won by Senegal against Morocco after time on January 18. Their trial opened Thursday at a Rabat court and has been postponed to January 29. The two countries have cooperative relations in sectors including tourism, energy infrastructure, and transport, and share religious ties. The Confederation of African Football (CAF) has removed Ousmane Kane, president of its disciplinary committee, from an proceeding linked to the controversial AFCON 2025 final between Morocco and Senegal, citing concerns over a possible conflict of interest due to his Senegalese nationality. The decision aims to ensure transparency and impartiality as the football body investigates crowd disturbances and alleged misconduct during the match, with reports from officials and security agencies already under review. CAF is expected to appoint another senior official to oversee the disciplinary process, with the final results on potential sanctions anticipated in coming days. Novak Djokovic has become the first tennis player to record 400 Grand Slam match wins after defeating Botic van der Volskop to reach the last 16 of the Australian Open. The 38-year-old Serbian extended his dominance at Melbourne Park, claiming his 102nd win at the venue and maintaining his pursuit of a 25th major title. Djokovic said he remains competitive despite the rise of younger stars, insisting he is still hanging in there as he continues his bid for history. As Global TV News Prime comes to an end, let's take a look at our top stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima has returned to Abuja after high-level economic engagement, declaring that Nigeria regained its footing on the global economic frontline through improved macroeconomic stability and reforms. In business, we brought to you that the Central Bank of Nigeria says digital payment transactions have surged by 276% in volume and 581% in value over the past 5 years, reflecting rapid adoption of electronic payment channels. On the foreign scene, Sudan's Social Affairs Minister Suleima Ishaq Al-Khalifa says women and girls are paying the heaviest price in Sudan's ongoing conflict as sexual violence and other abuses continue with near impunity. And in sports, Senegal's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko will begin an official visit to Morocco on Monday after fans from his country were detained in incidents there at the African Cup of Nations final. That's it on News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using our Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for watching.